Hello everyone, and once again, welcome to my video series on Fakémon. Now, we're at the 4th episode in the series, so we've reached the second half. Huzzah! Over the previous episodes, we have covered a number of useful things to think about when it comes to designing your own Fakémon. Now today, I'm here to talk about the bigger picture. I'm here to talk about designing a Fakedex. For those not in the know, a Fakedex is just a Pokédex, that being a collection of the Pokemon in a region filled with Fakémon. When it comes to creating a Fakedex, it's important not only to design a large number of Pokemon, but also you need to consider them holistically and how they interact with each other as a group. You can't have a balanced dex full of just Legendaries. Variety is key. Now, I'm not here to tell you exactly how to build a Fakedex. Everyone's region is unique and personal to them. What I am doing this episode is listing off some common tropes found throughout Pokédexes in the canon regions. While regions vary from less than 80 Pokemon to over 150, there are several staples of design that can be seen throughout them all. A key to making the Fakedex feel legit is to align it to official Pokédexes by making sure these Pokemon are present. With that out of the way, I hope you all enjoy the video. Now, there are two parts of creating a Fakedex I want to cover. First up is the Fakedex constants. A Fakedex constant is what I call a trope that most, if not all, current Pokédexes feature. These are things that are so common people will consider it strange if you fail to have them in your Fakedex. These aren't necessarily all 100% required, but if you're going for a genuine Pokédex feeling, you'd be best to follow these tropes. First up are the first Pokemon you'll be seeing in your journey, them being the starters. Every Pokemon game starts off with you choosing your starter, and each region has an ever familiar trio. In all the mainline games you choose from, a fire type, water type, or grass type starter. While these designs vary significantly, there are a couple rules. First, the starters are all 3-stage lines, though some do have mega evolutions. Second, while they don't have to have a secondary type, if they do, it cannot be one of the other 3 starter types. Third, their main abilities will be Overgrowth for the grass starter, then Torrent and Blaze for the water and fire types respectively. Apart from these few rules, you're generally good to go. Most starters do end up as powerful members of your team, despite their cute first forms, but Pokemon such as Meganium or Primarina show that they don't have to be aggressive. After having received your starter, the first new Pokemon you'll encounter are going to be the traditional early game freebies: Bird, Bug, and Beast. Every generation has a few basic Pokemon that let you pad out your team during the early game with a spread of shapes and design. Firstly, we get an early bird. Pokemon like Pidgey, Fledgling, and Starly are all examples of this. Usually free stage, but sometimes too. These Pokemon are flying type birds that go from cute little chicks before evolving into a larger and more raptorial form. The vast majority of the time, these Pokemon are normal and flying types. But thanks to Kalos's Talonflame being a fire flying type, there is a precedent for any number of possible type combinations. While the birds fly over the early game, you're also likely to encounter the early game mammal. These small, often weak 2 stages take inspiration from a wide variety of mammalian forms, but most often come in the form of a rodent, be it a rat, beaver, or gopher. Rounding out this very vertebrate focus selection are the early game bugs. Each gen has 1 or 2 lines of bug type Pokemon, species that evolve early and while they hit hard for the first gym or so, will generally teeter off in power as you progress. These Pokemon are always part bug, but they can have a wide variety of secondary types, such as flying, poison, grass, or electric. Now, going from the first Pokemon you'll encounter all the way to the very end, each gen has one final line before the legendary Pokemon come out in full swing, that being the pseudo-legendary. These Pokemon are typically found in the latter portion of the game and are always free stage evolutions that end up with a base stat total of 600. As with bird Pokemon, these pseudo-legendaries typically share a type, in this case Dragon, but there are exceptions, notably in Metagross, which is a Steel and Psychic type, rather than Dragon or Dragon/something else. Thanks to their high base stats and more powerful type combinations, these Pokemon are on par or more powerful than many legendaries in the region, despite their ability to breed or evolve. On the subject of legendaries, each region in the Pokemon games has their own set of story legendaries. For those who want to use their Fakémon in the form of a game, these are especially important. Story legendaries are the kind you find on the cover of a game's box art, and typically come in duos or trios with their own unique dichotomy that's explored in the games. Owing to the diversity of these legendaries, there are few if any rules to guide you. Just make sure that they can both join together in some thematic sense that allows them to be explored through the game's story. For example, Kyogre, Groudon and Rayquaza all have a theme of weather, while Xerneas and Yveltal represent opposing life and death. While I'd consider the previous tropes to be things I'd consider all but required to create a complete feeling Fakedex, there are still some tropes that are seen in regions but not all for you to take a look at and see if you like the idea of them being in your Fakedex. In Gens 1, 3, 4, 5 and 6 we have fossiled Pokemon. These are a set of two-stage lines of part rock type Pokemon that are inspired by prehistoric creatures. While many Pokemon are based on saurian characteristics, these fossils either take clear inspiration from a specific dinosaur or otherwise have their design inspired by a more obscure prehistoric animal, such as Gen 5's Caracosta and Archelon Pokemon. Something that most gens also have are Pika clones. These small electric rodents attempt to ape the popularity of the ever famous Pikachu. While originally they were just pure electric types, over time they've spread out into becoming dual types. So don't feel like you have to make a literal Pikachu clone just to make a Pika clone. Finally, we also got the Magikarps of the Pokemon world. Found in Gens 1, 3 and 7, these Pokemon start out as comically pitiful Pokemon with weak stats and even weaker movesets. But with some dedicated training they can evolve into their second stage, which is always incredibly powerful, almost as a reward for sticking with this subpar first stage. So if you decided to do all those Pokemon I talked about, you'd have around 30 Pokemon for your decks. But even with a region the size of Alola, you'd still have almost 60 other Pokemon to create. So what do? Well, you can do whatever you feel fits. As explained in previous episodes of the series, Pokemon can come from any variety of sources in any shape and size. Based on the region, you may want a number of ice types for a colder climate, or a lot of large Pokemon if it fits the story's theme. For those of you who are really unsure how to fill out your decks, the golden rule to follow is variety. Make sure you have a good spread of types, that there are different lengths of evolutionary lines, and that there's a Pokemon to fit every kind of trainer. No Pokemon needs to cater to the taste of everyone, but a good region has at least one Pokemon that will appeal to any given person. Thank you all so much for watching the 4th episode of my Fakémon series and for staying patient. If you can, I'd really appreciate if you could like the video and share it with any other fans of Pokemon you know. That sort of stuff does help me out. Be sure to subscribe, and you can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Moreover, I'd love for you to share your thoughts below in the comments so we can really get a conversation going, and for you to tell me what you think of the direction this series is going in. I'm Bob the Seagull King, and thank you for watching. Sayonara.